Smoking is a very common activity in today's world, and many smokers start smoking when they are teens. Teens think of smoking as something cool, and since it's an activity they see in their daily lives, they become more prone to picking up cigarettes. Some teens smoke because it's a way for them to relieve stress, while others find cigarettes a way to cope with past experiences. However, one reason why teens pick up smoking isn't as often looked at falls on the shoulders of people least likely to be considered a cause of smoking: parents. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released an article titled Youth and Tobacco Use, in which they stated that factors associated with smoking include parents, since parental smoking may promote smoking among young people. Teens and young children alike sometimes idolize their parents, seeing them as heroes or just really cool people. So when they start to constantly see their parents smoking, it makes sense that they pick up the habit. They start thinking that if their parents, who to them are the greatest people in the world and not capable of doing wrong, are smoking, then it's perfectly fine to smoke. It's very similar to what happens when another group of people that can greatly influence a teen's chance of picking up cigarettes. Smoking is prevalent in teens because they are pressured into doing it by their peers. Fitting in is often an objective in the minds of teens. No one wants to be the boring, lame outcast, but oftentimes the desire to fit in leads to teens cracking and falling for whatever they may seem cool. Regardless of the consequences, Cerebellum's Drug and Health blog, Real Teens Ask, provides reasons why teens view smoking as something cool, stating that there could be many reasons why teens who smoke think they're cool. Maybe their friends smoke, maybe their parents told them not to smoke, maybe they think it gives them an edgy look, or a temporary high. But the truth is, as far as your health goes, smoking is not so cool. Whatever the reason may be, smoking is still something very common with teens today, especially when considering the presence of several types of smoking products like e-cigarettes and marijuana in society. One way or the other, the smoking epidemic manages to take victims regardless of age and status.
Do you have any friends or relatives who you know smoke for sure?
Yes, I have some friends who smoke, although they don't do it a lot.
Does it change your opinion of them?
No, just because someone smokes doesn't make them a bad person automatically.
Do you know why they smoke?
Yeah. Some of them have told me that they smoke because they're stressed out. School puts a. They say that school puts a toll on them, and picking up a cigarette is what relaxes them. For another friend told me that when he was a little kid, his dad smoked a lot, and one day he found this pack of cigarettes and he picked them up, and he hasn't stopped using them since then.
Does their smoking habit ever affect your friendship with them?
Sometimes, whenever we get together, they kind of start. They want to smoke, but I don't, and it kind of makes it difficult. I don't want to get in trouble or make him upset, so it can be difficult.
Would you stop being their friend because they smoke?
No, smoking is just a small part of them, and I can tolerate it.
Do you know if they smoke tobacco or marijuana for e-cigarettes?
I've heard them say that they've smoked marijuana, but I've never actually seen them. They're really not interested in e-cigarettes except for Juul, since I've heard them talk about it sometimes.
Do you think it's better to smoke e-cigarettes or marijuana instead of tobacco?
Um, I think it's better to smoke an e-cigarette uh, instead of tobacco. I know it helps people who are trying to quit. Um, I'm not so sure about marijuana, although I haven't heard anything about people dying from marijuana or getting cancer from it. So I guess it's better.
This topic is important because smoking at a young age may have a damaging effect on a teenager's brain, and it's extremely addicting. The majority of smokers would like to stop smoking, and each year about half try to quit but don't succeed. Yet, only about 6% of smokers are able to quit in a given year. Smokers find smoking relaxing and use it to get rid of anxiety, depression, and other unpleasant feelings. Nicotine addiction symptoms are best viewed during the withdrawal phase. Nicotine withdrawal symptoms include bouts of anxiety and depression, difficulty concentrating, and weight gain. Nicotine can have long-lasting effects on a person's brain. Nicotine makes it hard for a person to concentrate, learn, and control impulses. Smoking daily as a teenager may put teenagers at a risk of using more intense drugs like cocaine and heroin. Overall, nicotine is very addictive, and physical addiction is one of the reasons why it's hard to quit, even though you might want to.
Just as terrifying as the physical effects of smoking is the toll it takes on the economy. Whereas the physical impacts of smoking are felt by smokers on an individual level, it takes such a substantial toll on the economy that it's felt by countries as a whole. Smoking implements a large economic burden on society, with millions of dollars spent in healthcare expenditures each year and millions more in indirect costs. And although the tobacco industry manages to bring in economic stimulus, the negative effects it has on the economy far outweigh any benefits it produces. The cost of smoking can be divided up into two groups, direct and indirect costs. Direct costs include healthcare costs, such as hospitalization costs and medication costs, as well as direct non-healthcare costs, which can include transportation and food. Because of the harmful chemicals inhaled when one smokes, this dangerous activity leaves a mark on smokers in the form of smoking attributable diseases. These include lung cancer, throat cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and many more, and usually require very expensive treatment that can also sometimes be continuously needed, leading to continuous expenses. As a result, millions of dollars are spent each year because of smoking. In fact, an article on the economic burden of smoking, published by the Medical Journal of the Islamic Republic of Iran, revealed that cigarette smoking was reported to be responsible for 6 to 15% of national healthcare expenditure in high-income countries, 2.1 to 3.4% of gross domestic product in Australia, 1.3 to 2.2% of GDP in Canada, and 1.4 to 1.6% of GDP in the United States. However, the economic setbacks don't stop there. When a smoker starts to suffer from the physical effects of smoking, he or she must stray away from work and their daily routine to instead focus their time and energy into receiving treatment for their sickness. For the economy, this does not bode well, as the loss of work results in loss of productivity, which in turn results in the loss of profit and in the long run, economic stagnation. The loss of productivity due to a patient's premature death and absenteeism from work falls under the indirect costs of smoking, and in some cases, the indirect costs turn out to be more than the direct costs. In the end, the economic impact that smoking brings produces a burden on the economy rather than stimulus, and for many smokers, it can lead to life-altering sickness and addictive habits difficult to overcome. Countries with large numbers of smokers need to think twice before picking up this dangerous activity. Instead of focusing on receiving tax revenues from the tobacco industry, they should start working towards anti-smoking programs and prevent the millions of healthcare expenditures and countless deaths that occur each year because of smoking. After all, by doing so, they save themselves not just from a crippled economy, but from an incapacitated future as well.